Hello, everybody, and welcome to a Crimson Vow draft here on the channel. My name is Nikolai, and in this video, I will be taking you pick by pick and play by play through a Crimson Vow draft, talking through all of my decisions so you know what to do in your own drafts. If you enjoy it, remember to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel for more content, click that bell icon so you get notified when I post future videos, and comment below with your questions, thoughts, and feedback. Okay, so first things first, we have opened up a bomb rare. So that's not super uncommon in Crimson Vow. There's a lot of powerful rares, but Hullbreaker Horror is very, very good, and we'll be hoping to play blue to play this card. And then we're going to be looking for card filtering to help us find this more often, and then just removal spells to answer our opponent's rares. So this is a pretty easy first pick. If this wasn't in the pack, I actually have a couple cards that I really like in this one. I like Abrade a lot. It's just a great removal spell, very efficient, and I've also been very impressed by Fleeting Spirit. It's just a 2-drop that's pretty hard to answer, and it just works well with a lot of the white decks. You can discard Disturb cards to put auras on things. If you want that half of the card more, you can also use it to blank removal spells or get the first strike stuff. Pretty good there. Haven't really done a ton with the Bystander yet, but I'm excited to try it out. I think I would go Abrade and then Fleeting Spirit, though, because I think red is better than white in this format. And yeah, there's also Fierce Retribution, which is pretty good, but pretty easy Hullbreaker Horror. Let's see which direction we can end up in here. So, first things first, there are, like, obviously powerful cards in this pack, like Angelic Quartermaster, which is quite good. There's also Dormant Grove, which can be pretty powerful. And then in the common section, there's Lantern Bearer, which is the same color as Hullbreaker Horror. They don't necessarily go in the same deck as well, because this is more of an aggressive card, and this is more of a defensive card, but it can still play well together. And then there's also Falconwrath Celebrant, which is a powerful common. Voldaren Epicure is surprisingly powerful. I want to try this out more, but I think it actually performs decently well if you have blood synergies and stuff. Could just be like noise in the data, but I've been looking at some numbers and it seems like it performs decently well. I do want to play the Hullbreaker Horror, so taking Lantern Bearer is appealing, but I think that Angelic Quartermaster is enough better that I'm just going to take that. This card seems quite good to me. It's played out pretty well against me. I like Celebrants a decent amount as well. Kind of a lot of options here. There is Ballista Watcher, which is a nice uncommon. There's also Runebound Wolf, which is a solid uncommon. Brambleworm can do well. Traveling Minister is one of the better white commons. Fearful Villager can do good stuff. I do like Brambleworm, but I'm worried about going into blue-green because you just lack interaction, and interaction is so important. And so I think I'm going to take the Ballista Watcher here. Ballista Watcher can go well with like flash spells like Hullbreaker Horror or like other instant speed stuff. And I want to get more reps with the card. Looks like we're seeing a little bit of blue here. Not as much green other than Brambleworm. I guess there's some green. Not as much white. Okay, and now I do like Falconwrath Celebrants. It helps you like dig for your bomb while also being a really sizable creature. And I did just take a Ballista Watcher. So I think I'm going to take that over Scattered Thoughts, even though this does do a good job of also looking for Hullbreacher. Breaker Horror, I mean, it like digs you through 10% of your deck. This card digs you through half that many cards if you're looting with the blood, rummaging with the blood tokens. But I think it's just nice to be affecting the board while you're filtering through your cards. So I'm going to take the Falconwrath Celebrants here. Okay. Not a huge fan of either of these two cards. I do like Hookhand Mariner. It's a pretty solid card. And I could still just play red-green. Mulch has not been performing particularly well. Gift of Fangs is okay, but not as good as I would like because it doesn't kill all the vampire cards. Sundown Pass is alright as well. Cradle of Safety is decent, but this card doesn't really need the extra help. So wow, that was an egregious misclick. my mouse bugs out sometimes, so I guess I need to just be more careful with that, because I definitely did not want to take mulch there. Mulch is so much worse than the 4-3. We'll bounce back. I'm disappointed, but that's what happens when your mouse is old. My new mouse should arrive tomorrow. Scattered Thoughts. What's Toxic Scorpion? I'm going to take the Saw Blade Slinger. Kind of nice interaction. That misclick could have repercussions. We'll have to see. There's Siphon Essence to go with the Hullbreaker Horror. There's also Removal Spell. There's Sigarda's Imprisonment. White has not seemed super open. Flourishing Hunter could be the pick. But again, I would rather play blue-red, which seems like a fine spot to end up. And Siphon Essence is fine interaction. Wash Away is also decent. There is Point of Discussion. We're not really moving in a black deck direction. Weird Prisoner is not very good. Haven't really seen this card do anything. Retribution is fine. Wheeling this card is kind of insane. This card's quite good. Sometimes you just need any 2-drop under the sun. Help stabilize you. I'm actually kind of going to be interested to try out some counter spells if I can. Let's see if we can get Anger to work, maybe. Could work well with, like, Kessick Flame Breather type cards. The green combat trick's also fine. I'd rather play Lantern than Daybreak. Daybreak is super bad. So what's our deck looking like right now? We lack interaction that can kill creatures once they hit the board. But we have a powerful rare to draw towards. We have good filtering, good blood token synergy right now. Here there is Diver Scob, but there's also a Braid, and I like a Braid more here. I need to just stop clicking on the cards because my mouse might double click them. But I like a Braid more here because I have some counter spells, but I don't have any ways to deal with stuff once it hits the board, really. Diver Scob is a really good card if you have some creatures to exploit. We don't really have that right now. And if we get past a really powerful rare, we could still move away from this Hullbreaker Horror. And it's also just a cheap card, so we don't fall behind early. It's also a card where we can hold up our counterspell in case they play a really powerful rare and then use a Braid end step, which I like that play pattern. Because I think our deck strategy might be like, okay, you'll get the early aggression in, but then we'll be able to like burn away your creatures, play a Falcon Wrath Celebrant, and then hopefully be able to counter some relevant spells. This mulch is eating me up inside. Could have been a much better card. I think we're just going to stick with this red-blue deck, though, because Hullbreaker Horror is just going to win us the game if we can find it. When you have a rare that powerful, it's worth just, like, trying to find, like, the other color that's relatively open. Just chillax and filtering through your deck, casting this as many games as possible. Cards like Ancestral Anger are pretty solid because they're just cheap spells to cast once we do resolve the Hullbreaker. Not that it needs much help. So we're just looking for cheap creatures. Removal. Those are our two priorities right now. We have a good amount of card filtering already. I wonder how it can take me so long to get a card when I pretty much waited for the clock to go down to its last second. Not really in the market for Wretched Throng. I don't think we can get that many more of those. I don't want to take Reckless Impulse either because I mean, so I can't get the Hullbreaker Horror. Repository Scab doesn't really have stuff to sacrifice. Have 5 creatures. I'm just going to take Evolving Wilds, make my mana more consistent, and if I do need to splash this Fierce Retribution, it'll give me options to do so. Because Fierce Retribution could be good in this deck as just a defensive tool. / late game removal spell. Seeing good green cards coming around here. We might just want the Selhoff Tumor. Cheap creature that can block. We just don't really have a reason to go into green because red looked pretty open pack 1. Or at least we were getting some late Falconwrath Celebrants, which maybe aren't a signal, but we have a decent number of good red cards. I'd rather be red than green generally. And we have the Hullbreaker Horror, so we just don't really have a reason to go into green, even for something like some of these solid green cards. Wanderlight Spirit's a fine pressure tool, but we don't really care about that. Here, pretty easy Lunar Rejection. We already have an Evolving Wilds. The second one gets worse because having a tap land can be a downside. I do like Diregraph Scavenger, but we're just not in that direction. And then there's Lantern Bearer, but Lantern Bearer is good if we have, like, I just have more beatdown plans. We're just on survival plan, and Lunar Rejection does a good job with that. So we're going to take the Lunar Rejection. I think we might play the Honored Heirloom if we had one, because it does help us get to the Hullbreaker Horrors earlier. And our deck uses extra mana pretty well by holding up counters and stuff. But I'm not a huge fan of just taking it here, because it'll probably wheel. And we can probably use that, and then we could splash the white card that we wanted to splash. Okay, I haven't gotten to play Lacerate Flesh. It could be a solid card. We could also just take Syncopate as another counter. This Ancestral Anger could wheel, but I don't know if we want that. I want to try Lacerate Flesh. We already have 2 counter spells, and I haven't gotten as much experience with Lacerate Flesh. Ancestral Anger. Still not that good in our deck. Cradle of Safety, also not that good. It is like another counter spell, though. Seeing Flourishing Hunter's nice, but we'll just take the Cradle of Safety. It's like a counter spell. We don't have any payoffs for casting spells other than the Hullbreaker Horror, and once you resolve that, we'll be fine anyway. So I doubt we'll be playing Ancestral Angers. Siphon Essence. Until my new mouse arrives, I shouldn't just click on cards like that, because it'll sometimes double-click them. But this card's great. We could also consider, like, splashing Brambleworm as a top-end card, because we do have Evolving Wilds, and we're hoping to wheel that other card. But I'm fine also just splashing Fierce Retribution. And I think Siphon Essence is pretty good. I'm excited to play a deck that has a couple of them to get some real reps with it. Okay, this card's quite poor, but Blood Petal Celebrant is pretty nice. Even just as a 2-drop that can trade off, it's pretty good because it'll generate us a blood token that can dig us towards our Hullbreaker Horror. So I'm happy taking that over the Lacerate Flesh. This is actually a pretty good candidate for a deck that would use the 3-mana ramp pretty decently. Not in the market for Wedding Invitation. Binding Geist can be okay. Selhoff Occultist. I'm just going to take this Selhoff Entomber, I think. I just want, like, the ability to just churn through my deck, I think. Now I'll just take Cradle of Safety because it's on color. I'm not really worried about getting into green or anything. And now we'll take Wanderlight Spirit. We don't really want it, but we have 2 Selhoff Entombers to discard it if we want, and we might play it. Lightning Wolf. Sure Strike. So the Mana Rock did not wheel. Another Lantern of the Lost could be good. Wow, looks like we got pretty good card here. Dream Shacklegeist. Just keeps a creature tapped. all attached to a flying body. Works well with Cradle of Safety. I also like Whispering Wizard in this deck because we do have a lot of non-creatures. And then I also like the Steelclad Spirit. The Falconwrath Celebrant's my wheel. But let's take the Dream Shacklegeist, pretty good rare. After that, I would take the Whispering Wizard, and then I would take Steelclad Spirit, just because we need the defensive 2-drop, I think, more than the Celebrants, but maybe that's not even true. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 2-drops right now, even though this one's pretty weak. The damage can add up. Okay. Yeah, there's a Binding Geist, there's an Alchemist's Retrieval. Just got that Anger card. Let's see, do we have any graveyard synergies of our own? We do not. We don't have any Disturb cards. So I think the 2 Lanterns are probably going to make the deck. Which means I don't really need to prioritize Disturb cards like that. I could take Repository Scob. I'm going to take the Alchemist Retrieval, give myself a bounce spell. And Honored Heirloom is just what I wanted. Getting past Hero's Downfall is wild. Also Cultivator Colossus, which is just medium. But I'm happy to get an Honored Heirloom. I wanted the extra mana production. And it looks like it's going to be pretty good in my deck. Chill of the Grave. Grolnok doesn't seem like it can attack very well. Epicure is more of an aggressive card. I'm fine taking the Chill of the Grave. Let's cut Lightning Wolf. Wow, now there is the option to take a Falconwrath Celebrant or another Chill of the Grave. We have now got the Heirloom plus the Evolving Wilds. So we could take Brambleworm as a stabilization tool, or we could just take another Falconwrath Celebrant. I'm fine just taking Celebrants, keeping my mana consistent. Child of the Pack as a green splash. I just don't think I need it. This is a way to use the graveyard. I don't have any of those. And it's a fine body. I'll take it. Even though I do have these 2 things. I wonder how many Kessic Flame Breathers I could get. And the Festivities is actually a card I am going to play here, because I can pitch it to my blood tokens when I can't use it, and it could actually really catch me up from behind. I want to try that theory out. It's a very niche card. Wow. Whispering Wizard Wield. That's incredible. Very easy pickup. Way better than the Screaming Swarm. So there's a lot of cards here, but we're going to be able to filter through them pretty effectively. So we don't need the Wanderlight Spirit. Kessic Flame Breathers are not very good. Where did the Lunar Rejection go? There it is. Don't necessarily need Skywarp Scob. I'm interested to see how this deck performs. 17 lands plus an Honored Heirloom seems fine to me. I have 10 creatures. So Cradle of Safety could get worse, but we do have blood tokens to get rid of it. So it's like one of those niche cards that's good with the End of Festivities, kind of. We have 3 3-mana counter spells. A couple of good rares in the Dream Shacklegeist and the Hullbreacher. Some good removal. Whispering Wizard's great in this deck. So, I don't have any cards that care about the graveyard, I don't think. Which makes Lantern kind of a card I want to try. playing. I don't guess I have 1, 2, 3, kind of 4 2-drops. Could also play the Epicure. Let's cut 1 Lantern, maybe. We already have a bounce spell, so maybe Alchemist Retrieval is also bad. But I think this will be good. I'm interested to see how it performs. I'll see you folks in the matches. Before I get to the games, I want to give a huge shout out to all of the patrons who support my content, my channel, at patreon.com/NicolaiBolas, and special shout out to those at the credits level. It is thanks to Patreon support that I'm able to make as many videos as I do, so if you found my videos to be of some value, maybe they've helped you win a couple of extra games on the arena ladder, or maybe you've crushed your FNM because of some of my advice, and you want to help me continue making the videos, then Patreon is the best way to do so, and as my way of saying thank you, you even gain access to some pretty cool Patreon exclusive rewards, like access to my card-by-card grade spreadsheet, my tier list for Crimson Vow, which is an excellent bonus resource to help you crush your competition, especially early on in the format when a lot of people don't know how to evaluate the cards. But anyway, I do hope you are enjoying the video so far, regardless of whether or not you decide to become a patron, and without further ado, let's get to the games. Welcome to round 1. On the play with this hand, we will keep it. We have a blood token, potentially from this thing. And this card could actually be okay. Depending on the matchup, of course. That was a good draw. We will still play the Blood Petal Celebrant because it attacks better and we don't have a plan to discard anything right now. Sure. Maybe I was supposed to factor that in and play the Selhoffen Tumor, but I think it's fine that they use that there instead of on my Whispering Wizard, so I don't really mind. We'll get our creature down. Not worried about this. I'll be able to pitch it to one of my numerous blood tokens later on. A little unfortunate. So I will be able to zap that with a Braid. So I am going to take this opportunity to play this guy. If they have another burn spell, it's bad for me. But I'll just zap this next turn. I'll take 6 damage for my riskier play. Overall, kind of a tough situation. If instead of playing this, we had just killed the Ridge Wolf with our Braid, our hand would have played out a lot better. But them having 2 copies of the Flame Blessed Bolt was pretty good too. Okay, it costs 7. So I can go block, block, bounce. Probably bounce the 6-drop. I need them not to have another play this turn. Then to draw a land. I'll block this 6/5 to try and curb their cards a little bit. And this thing has to attack into the Hullbreaker Horror, which is nice. Okay, that's a problem. The Weary Prisoner can't attack. I'm still in the game, but only just. The fact that their Runebound Wolf is going to be able to zap me for 2 is not good for me. Needed this turn sooner. Counter this on the way back down, maybe? I don't know. Tough loss, tough loss. Them having 2 1-mana burn spells really got me. The way the early game lined up was not favorable. I was hoping I could deal with their cards through other means. Okay, we will keep this hand. Take an island, so our wash away is on. They don't use this. Interesting. I'm not as worried about the Catgeist after the first couple turns. Being able to cast this for 1 mana could be powerful at some point. We can all probably discard this Honored Heirloom. Actually, no, we can use it to get rid of their Disturb cards. Pretty good. Sure. We will play this land. Never mind. We'll just... We'll discard the land. That card can double block the Falconwrath Celebrants with something else. Nice. I will play this land. Because I need 7 lands to cast my whole Breacher Horror if I do draw it, and this way I can hold a full wash away value. Which feels like I'm not going to counter anything from the graveyard. Because I have Heirloom to get rid of stuff from the graveyard. I don't particularly care about that card right now. They're letting me attack with Dream Shackle, guys. Interesting. Don't want them to draw an answer. And I could draw an extra threat just like I did. Sure. They have to double block this, so they go double block. They have to chump block this. So we have lethal. So they have 4 blockers, and they need 5 to double block that. And even if they were able to double block it, they wouldn't be able to kill it. Okay, good job. Deck. That was good. That was an excellent example of a game where Commence the Festivities would have been pretty good. But maybe I still can't afford to play it. Even if I can discard it when it's not good. Might just like alter my spell to mana ratio or something. I like this hand. Good to see if this card is worth it once again. Ah, looks like it could be. That's why I have to be careful with the way things I click on. Because every click could be a double click. It is making me play very precisely, though. Now we're in survival mode. How worried am I about the egg? Pretty dang worried. Because then any exploit creature is a huge problem. And they're black-blues, they probably have exploit creatures. Ditch our niche card. I would love to find an island so I could play this wash away. The fact that they discarded the Courier Bat when it is such a good synergy piece indicates to me that they either have a really good 5-drop or sure. Yeah. This is fine. Pretty unlucky to have all mountains, pretty much. That's a weird attack with 3-2. Okay. If I had drawn my second copy of Siphon Essence, I would have countered it. I'm not playing the Dream Shackle, guys, because I want to use it to keep this Scab tapped, I think. And I want to be able to counter a Keith's spell. Counter the egg. Get rid of the egg. They can bring this thing back. Just gonna hope they don't have -13, -13. They could. They don't have that kill spell. They could have the 6-mana one. Dang it. I was hoping they wouldn't have that card as well. That's how it goes sometimes. Or just dead on board, maybe? No, not yet, not quite. Counterspell is really awkward this game. Dang it. Dang. What could I have done differently that game? Yeah. Maybe that's better. I already have a little bit of graveyard hate in the form of the art of the mana rock. Yeah, that one was a little bit awkward because my mana was not cooperative, so I couldn't cast a lot of my spells. I think I've lost both games that I've resolved Hullbreaker Horror. I still feel like the card is quite good. I've just been under a little bit too much pressure when I resolved it, so maybe adding a 2/5 to the deck will help. So I'm not just going to kill the Parish Blade trainee. I'm going to focus on dealing with the threat that they play that's going to help this thing connect. So I'd rather much rather abrade that creature. That card's good against me here. Cradle of Safety. Just gonna make this thing bigger. So they're gonna hit me for 5. Or they'll hit me for 2 this turn and 5 next turn. So 7 over 2 turns. But I also just get to block this turn. These draws are just not good. Maybe I have too many niche cards in my deck. Another flyer is bad news. The fact that I can only seem to draw lands and spells that I can't cast to affect the board is not helping. I doubt I win this game. I'm gonna be 0 for 3. The only game I won is the one that I didn't cast Hullbreaker Horror. Yep. That tends to happen when you don't draw a castable spell the entire game. I mean, I drew Cradle of Safety. I guess it's my fault for putting Cradle in my deck, but I also just drew, like, all lands. I think I kept 1, 2, 3, 4, and the only card I drew all game was Cradle of Safety. Oh, man. I didn't really get to do anything this draft. Tough. Huh. What did I do wrong? Let's look at the deck. Figure it out. I guess Hullbreaker Horror is not as good as I thought it was. It costing 7 is just such a downside. It just died. They just killed it constantly with like whatever random kill spell they happen to have. I thought it was a pretty good card. Just looking at it. Looks very good. Maybe I got unlucky that they always had a kill spell for it. They didn't even always have a kill spell. The red-green deck, they didn't. I just never had spells to back it up, really, it felt like. So maybe I'm supposed to cut that, not play the Cradle of Safeties, and just play, like, these two guys. But those guys also kind of are bad. So maybe I'm just supposed to play, like, Lightning Wolf, so I have, like, more beefy blockers. Or I just play Lantern of the Lost, like, filter through my deck more. I don't know. I felt like it was just on the unlucky side of variance as well. Like, I don't know. I have decent curve. This card is pretty good. This card's pretty good. I have 3 of these guys. Whispering Wizard's great in my deck. I just kind of didn't draw particularly well. Let me know what you'd have done differently in the comment section down below. If you did enjoy the draft video despite us losing, remember to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment with your questions, thoughts, and feedback. So let me know you made it all the way to the end. Leave hashtag horrific horror or hashtag horrific Hullbreaker to let me know you made it all the way to the end, because 0% win rate when casting this card. Kind of wild. Not something I would have guessed when I drafted the card. Yeah. Let me know if you would have done stuff differently during the drafting, during the game. It's always interesting to see that. If you did enjoy the video and you want to support my content, check out the Patreon, patreon.com/NicolaiBolas. You can also find links to my articles, the NicolaiBolas merch store, and the NicolaiBolas Discord in the description down below. All that cool stuff. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll talk to you next time.